already discussed how to create an Amazon account and familiarized various services in Amazon. Now let's use those services for hosting a website. So in this video, we are going to use Amazon S3, that is Simple Storage Service for hosting a website. So let's get started. Before starting our lab on AWS static website, let's review the concept of a website. We all know that google.com is a very popular website and google.com is the domain name for the website. So, are we always using domain names to access websites? The answer is yes. That is because all the resources on the net are connected through an IP address. So, we identify a resource on a network using IP address. But it is very difficult for us to remember all the IP addresses of all the resources. So, there is a concept called as domain name system which maps your domain name to IP address. That's why it is easier for us to remember the domain names rather than IP addresses. Now, let's go to AWS console. I am typing AWS console here. So, I am clicking on AWS Management Console. Now you can log into your console. You would have already created a free account on AWS. By default, I have logged in. If you have not, please give your login details and log in. Once you log in, you will get a page like this, the dashboard for AWS Management Console. Today we are going to launch a website in S3, Amazon S3, which stands for Simple Storage Service. So let's click on S3. It is showing here in recently visited services. If it is not there, you can go ahead and type it here. So you will get the S3 dashboard in this way. Let's see what are the steps involved in creating and hosting a website in Amazon S3. So let's go scroll down. The default steps for creating an S3 bucket and uploading data are given here. So first step is creating a bucket, then uploading your data and setting up the permissions. Since we are hosting a website, we have to do an additional step, that is, we have to set the static website hosting in the bucket. After these steps, we can test our website. So let's start with the hosting. So I am going to click Create Bucket. It will ask you for a bucket name. I am going to say www.asda.com. Region, I am leaving it as default. I am saying next. All these values I am leaving it to default. I am going to say next. Here you can see it is asking to set the block public access. That is, whether you are going to allow public access on your website or not. So since we are going to access this through IP address, that is the public IP address, we have to uncheck block or public access. It will give you a checkbox to check to acknowledge the current setting. So just check it and then say next. Lastly, it will give you the review of all the settings that you have done. Say create bucket. So now your bucket has been created. So we can click on the bucket. So it says your bucket is empty. You have to upload new objects. So we'll upload our websites here. For this purpose, I've created 2 pages. I'll show you those 2 pages. So these are my 2 pages. I've created an index page. When I click on to the link here, it goes to the second page. When I click on the link on the second page, it goes back to the first page. So we'll be hosting these 2 pages in our S3. So let's go to the S3 console. Here I am going to say upload. I'll say add files, and then you can choose your files from your system. So, you can say upload. So, that's it. It has uploaded all the 3 files. Now, next step is you have to go to the properties. So, first step is done. We have created the bucket, uploaded the web pages. Now, we have to set static website hosting. So, when you go to properties, you can see a tab with static website hosting. Click on that. You can say use this bucket to host a website. It will ask you for the first page, that is the index page of your website. For me, it is index.html. So, I am going to give it like that. If you have an error page, you can give it. Otherwise, you can say save. So, you can see that static website hosting is set. You can again click on static website hosting. It gives you an endpoint. This will be the URL you will be using to access your website. So, I am going to create a new tab and I am going to give the URL. It says 403 forbidden. Why is that? Because I have not set my permissions. So, let's go and set the permissions. For doing that, you can click on Permissions tab. We have already set block all public access. We have unchecked that particular property. Now, you can go to bucket policy. We have to set the bucket policy. For that, I have created a bucket policy here. It is a JSON file. You can type it as it is. In place of your bucket name, you have to give the name of your bucket. So, that is www.asda.com, and you can say save. It says this bucket has public access. Now, let us go and check whether our website is up. You can go and refresh, and that is it. You can see we have hosted our website. So, that is pretty easy, right? Wow! Hosting a website in Amazon S3 is that simple. The best part is that you have to only pay for what you use. In the next video session, we will deploy WordPress in Amazon. Until then, keep learning and stay with us.